Well, hello, everyone. This is Ken Hardison, and welcome to another episode of Grow Your Law Firm. And today we have the pleasure and honor of having Ashley Johnson, a trademark attorney, who we're going to delve into this because actually I had it happen to me. It's got so competitive out there in the PI world that you have got to trademark your name, you got to trademark your tagline, you got to trademark everything. If you don't, somebody's going to use it, and they might trademark it before you do, and you get in all this legal battle. It's just a lot. So I want to dig in the deep to this, Ashley. Thank you for being here.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about you and your law firm. I know it's not Ashley Johnson. It's called
It's
tell
called
tell.
Dogwood. Yep, Dogwood Patent and Trademark Law. And, I have been practicing for 20 years now. And I was in-house at a plastics company in South Carolina. I've worked for a couple law firms. And in 2019, I just decided to go out on my own. So I started Dogwood Patent and Trademark Law, and we really handle everything intellectual property. So patents, trademarks, copyrights, and we help, small businesses, small inventors, protect what they develop.
Yeah, and I know my businesses have been using you for since you started.
That's
They
right.
were
Yep.
actually using you when you were the other law firm.
You were. Yep. Yep. You
Because we were
followed
getting
me
we
once I
were
started.
getting some golf balls patented, and then we done some trademark stuff,
That's right.
all
That's
kinds of
right.
all kinds of stuff. So yeah, and you've been a pleasure to work with and always
Thank
attentive,
you.
and that's
Thank
what people
you.
want that's what people want out of lawyers. So
Yep.
before we even get started, I would highly recommend if anybody's got a trademark issue. Ashley's very quick to return calls, return texts, return emails, and she doesn't overcharge, which is what I
Thank
like.
you so much. Thank you for
Well,
that.
I know you don't. If my partner in the golf ball business, because he's very tight, and he doesn't use
He is.
anybody to overcharge. He'll fire him in a minute if he thinks they're overcharging.
Uh-huh. That's true.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Kelly and his wife, they're very frugal, so I don't
Yeah.
have to worry about that business as far as anything getting overspent. They take good care of that. Yeah, brew another one like that. So anyway, so for people out there, I'm gonna start elementary just so people understand what we're talking about. When I say trademark,
Mhm.
what is a trademark and what does it take to
Yep.
get a trademark? What things can you trademark? What things can't you trademark?
Yep. Yep. So let's just start with the basics. So a trademark is really your brand name. So if you are starting a new business, you can trademark the name of that business. A lot of times you develop a logo, that goes along with your trademark, the business name. So you can trademark the actual words of your business name, the logo that goes with it. A lot of times people have taglines like Nike, just do it. Those are all things that you can trademark. If you have a particular product line, you can trademark that as well. So any type of naming that's going to be your brand or associated with your brand are things that you can trademark.
Yeah.
So, we deal with a lot of new businesses. So I think it's really important when you're starting off a new business to look into trademarking. Number one, the trademark will prevent someone else from taking your name or something very similar to your name and competing with you. And the other reason to really check into trademarks when you're starting a new business is you want to make sure that no one else has trademarked your name.
Yeah.
You don't want to get a cease and desist letter 2 or 3 years down the road, and then you have to come up with a new name and rebrand after you've spent so much money, developing your business and website and all of that good stuff.
This is a true story, and I have never told you this, but I started Pillman in 2009, but it was in 2007 and 8, it was called Lawyers Inner Circle. And I got a cease and desist letter about 2 years in,
Mm-hmm.
like Lawyers Inner Advocates or something. It was like Advocates Inner Circle or something. And I didn't know you then, but I called a lawyer. He said, well, if he said, but you have to pay me a lot of money. I said, well, I'll just change the name because it's not big now.
Yep.
I said, yeah, so you need a trademark search for me, and we did it that way. So Pillmore would have probably, if I hadn't gotten the cease and desist letter, would be called like Lawyers Inner Circle now.
Hmm. That's really, yeah. And I get that I get calls like that all the time from people. So I think it's a pretty common thing. People, they're starting a business and they love a name and they say, well, I'll just use this. And
Yeah,
it's just not the first thing or first couple of things they think about until there's an issue.
And they think if you get a corporate, if the a Secretary of State approves it for the corporation, then it must be okay, and that's not
That's
true.
true.
I
That's right.
learned that the hard way too.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Registration with the Secretary of State, that's just you can open a business with that name. It gives you no trademark protection at all.
Yeah, well, I think some people will think, well, they're looking after me, but no, they're not looking after you. They got
No,
no,
no.
no. So, you know, I want to ask you some ways that you can try. I mean, you can stumble onto it, but what I've started doing, and I don't know if there's another way to do it. So I'm asking you this. I'm getting free legal advice, y'all, right
There you
there.
go.
What I do is go to like Google Alerts and put in all my trademark names,
Uh-huh.
and that way, if it comes up online, it'll shoot me a deal, and
Hmm.
I'll get a notice from Google Alert that somebody's using using that tagline or whatever. Is that you
Yeah.
see people doing that?
I do, and that's the best way to do it. There are services you can pay for that will do exactly that same thing, but Google will do it for free. So I think that's the best way. That way, if you've got your name protected, if you've got that federal trademark, if someone opens, a competing business with your name or just, a slight variation of your name, you can jump on it immediately, because if you don't, it might be years before you find out, and then they'd be less likely to comply with any sort of request or demand to change their name.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm glad. Well, then I did the right thing. Then good.
Yes.
I just thought about it and I said, how can I keep up with this stuff? And it looks like the easiest way. I mean, you're still not going to get it if they're on TV, but if they're on TV, they're going to be online.
That's right.
If they're
That's
on
right.
billboards, they're going to be online. That's the way I look at it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And a lot of times your consumers, so people that are using your website, they may come across it, and then they would reach out and say, "Hey Ken, I noticed there's another Pilma. Is this you? Are you doing this?" So that's another good way. I think your subscribers and all that, they'll let you know if they find something.
Yeah. So here's another thing that's going on, and I don't know that trademark law is going to help you on this,
Mhm.
but I'm seeing this a lot, and it's usually the lawyers that are like spending millions of dollars on marketing. They're getting people that are buying their name on pay per click and or either their slogans or their names. And what it does, it costs. If you're not doing this, folks, if you spend a lot of money, you need to be buying your own name. That's one way I know to combat it. But I don't know. Is there any other way to combat it? Because I don't think
So
trademarking it really keeps it. Because unless it's out there on the ad, but if it's just a search word,
yeah. So if are you saying if you have, you're a well-known attorney and someone else has trademarked your name, or someone else
no,
is
no,
using
no,
your name?
no, they're just using your name or your law firm's name in their Google pay per click
So
ad.
it's tough to prevent. I've had a couple people reach out, and I always refer that out because it's not really part of my practice. But from what I understand, it is difficult to get someone to stop doing that. So far, I mean, they may be making changes to that, but so far it's considered, fair use, or,
Yeah.
you're allowed to, it's just competition.
If it shows up on the ad on Google on like the front page, then you can do something about it.
Then you can do something. But if they are just kind of directing traffic, from, using your name somehow, there's nothing you can do about that. If they are explicitly using your name in a printed ad or a pop-up ad, something like that, you can absolutely get them to stop that. But as far as redirecting, someone's website is close to yours and it's going to redirect to a totally different law firm, that's something that's pretty tough to manage,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah. I think, and I know I remember one of my friends and former mastermind members, Jim Adler down in Texas. I mean, he filed a federal lawsuit and spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. But see, it's not just law firms. Everybody does it
Mm-hmm.
in e-commerce. I mean, you see people. I've seen people, and they can buy. I've seen it happen for me. I mean, I'll type in Pilma sometimes, and you'll see sponsor ads above us. This is
Yep.
marketing companies that are just,
Yeah.
and they're not really trying to get my business because I don't do, SEO or anything, but they're just trying to play off the, well, if people are looking for Pillman, then they're probably looking for some marketing help.
That's
And
right.
therefore, we're going to go there. And I'm fine with that. But yeah, I think there's some federal law needs to be changed. Now, there is some ethical stuff in some states you can't do it. But my
Okay.
question is, even in those states, if you got a third party doing it,
Right.
a
Right.
lot of times that happens and you don't even know it's being done by your third party vendor, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you got that too. So, I mean,
Yep.
but certain states, I know it's unethical, and in certain states, it's okay.
Well, yeah, I think it should be unethical. I wish they would do that more, more
Yeah.
across the board.
Yeah. So, anyway, so what is the process of going? Like, if you got a name, you name your firm and you want to protect, your
Hmm.
brand, what's the process? I mean, if I was to call you, well, what would be the process you have to go through to do this?
Yep. So the trademark office will not actually register a trademark until you are using it. You can, there's two ways to file a trademark. You can wait until you've actually opened your new business, your law firm, and then file your trademark. And that is certainly the quicker and the less expensive way to go. The other way is to file as soon as you think of the name, as soon as you decide I'm going to go with this name, then file your trademark application at that point. If you go that route, you can reserve the name, until you're actually using it in commerce. So until you've opened your doors, until you've had at least one commercial sale. There's kind of two paths that you can go. Either way will get you a registered trademark in the end. If I think there's a lot of value in starting a new business to going ahead and probably reserving the name. If you're 6 months out, that way you've got the process started. You don't, right now it's a pretty lengthy process. You're a couple months into it by the time you're opening. That way you don't have to kind of wait around to get that fully registered trademark. You're going ahead and starting the process. But you can do it either way. You could wait until you're actually up and running. I think even if you decide to wait until you're up and running to file your trademark application, I think you should at least reach out and get a search done to make sure that that name is available, though.
Yeah. So you do the search, and then they got what, filing fees and different things like that.
Yeah, yeah. So we do the search. If the search looks clear, then we can move forward with the trademark application. And I would just get, we'd have to, if you're filing that you're actually using the trademark, we have to show some specimens, which shows that you're using maybe some screenshots from your website, things like that, to show that you're actually using the trademark. And
Right.
then we would submit that trademark application. And typically right now there's a 9 to 10 month wait to hear back from the trademark office. They're actively trying to reduce that to 6 months. We get emails all the time, but so far I have not seen that. It's still kind of stuck at 9 to 10 months.
And
And then
what do they charge you to file? What's the filing fees?
the filing fee is $250
It's not bad.
per class of goods. So that means, if you file for your law firm and you also want to file for t-shirts, that's two classes of goods. If you also want to file for coffee cups, that's another class of goods.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, they kind of get you if you want to do a really broad filing and file on different things, it can get pretty expensive. If you want to file, just for legal services for the name of your law firm, that will be one class of goods. So your filing fee will be $250.
Okay, cool deal.
Yep.
And, but sometimes we want to do things like I've seen it. I had this happen to one of my mastermind members because he called me when he got the cease and desist. He had something like no fee guarantee. Well, some law firm marketing agency had trademarked that, and only their clients could use that no fee guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, I think he got an email. He didn't get a letter. He got an email, saying
Yeah.
that they showed their trademark certificate and
Uh-huh.
all, and give them like 10 days to remove it, or they would, hire a lawyer and file suit. Um, so I think
Yeah.
stuff like, just like that. I mean, even stuff
And
like that.
yeah, and that should have been found on the initial search. If he had done an initial search before he, adopted that name, It should have come up in that search. So maybe he would have chosen a different name or tagline at that time. But, I would question if was he using that name with the name of a law firm, or was he using it he was.
Yeah.
So,
With his law firm, but it was just part of it's on the homepage. It was one of it was his tagline.
okay. Okay.
Home of the no fee guarantee.
So, he may have had an argument if the trademark was registered for marketing services, he's using it with legal services. Those are two separate things. So he may have had an argument. If he wanted to push back, he may have had a pretty strong argument, but sometimes it's easier just to rebrand and not go through the hassle. I understand that.
Well, I think one of the owners was a lawyer, and I think his firm had it. So I think he probably had it under that. It's probably what.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
That was a unique situation, but yeah.
Yeah.
And so ask me, I did this thing one time. I've never done it again. Maybe I should. So I want to ask you, back in, I guess, 2005, 2006, I read some article or something. And so I said, I'm going to copyright. I don't want nobody stealing my content off my website because we spent a lot of money putting content on there. So I sent it off to wherever you send it off to copyright office.
Yeah.
It's my whole thing. But then what happened was every time I made a change, I had to redo the whole deal again. And I don't think I don't remember it costing that much, but it was just a lot of work.
It is, yeah. So you can do that. You can protect the content of your website. And, I do have people that do that from time to time, but exactly like you said, if you're going to make, it's fine probably for a few years, you're probably not going to make too many changes unless you're on your website a lot. But if you get to making substantial changes, then I think it makes sense to just, do a new filing as you make those changes to your website. It's a pretty small filing fee. I believe it's $65 to file. So it's not that much money, but it is kind of a pain because you have to, upload, do screenshots and upload your entire website, basically, fill out an application. And I'm sure it would be allowed because it's your original content that you've put on your website, but there is that aspect of if you're going to make changes to it, if you're going to, replace articles, add new things, you may have to just do a filing once a year or once every couple years to make sure it's up to date and that you're fully protected.
So I've seen this and I've done it myself, put the little C copyrighted 2023.
That's right.
Ken Hardison or Pilma.
Yep.
Is that good enough, or do we need to actually file it with the copyright office? Because I've heard both ways.
Yeah. So the copyright is actually created as soon as you finish that artistic work. So as soon as you write a song, as soon as you update that website, as soon as you write an article. So you can actually put the copyright symbol at the bottom, copyright 2023, Pilma, all rights reserved, whatever you want to put. So that copyright is actually created at that time, as soon as you finish that work. But you aren't able to sue someone for copyright infringement unless that work is registered with the U.S. Copyright Office. So, I think there's kind of two strategies. You could just put the copyright symbol on your website and make any changes that you want to. And if someone does, there is some incidents of copyright infringement. At that point, you could file, do some screenshots of your website, file that with the U.S. Copyright Office, and then sue someone for infringement. But if you haven't filed for that, federal copyright registration, you can still use the copyright symbol. The copyright is still there, but it just doesn't really have any teeth to it. You can't enforce it against an infringer unless you've registered it with the U.S. Copyright Office.
Yeah. And so these lawyers, and I used to do a lot of these, I call them consumer books, the 7 fatal mistakes accident victims make and how to avoid them, or the 9 fatal or the 9 myths of workers' comp claims. We need to get all those copyrighted. I think. I think it for $65, whatever it is, $100, you need to file.
Yeah, and you can file up to 10 in a single copyright application if they're all of the same type. So if you're filing 10 articles, and I believe the filing fee for that is only $85. So that is much more cost effective if you've got 10 articles or 10 of the same type of thing. You can't do
ebooks.
Yeah. If you do 10 of the same, it's much cheaper.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Is there anything else out there that we need to be protected in our law offices, intellectual property?
I think I like trademarks for most businesses. I like them for law firms because you put so much time in, when people are looking for attorneys, when they're looking for businesses, it's your name that they're going after. That's how you're building your reputation. So I really like trademarks, and I think it builds the value of your business. If you ever wanted to sell that business, they're going to look at what intellectual property you have. And if you've got, a couple different trademarks, if you've got, your logo trademarked, I think that's going to increase the value of your business. And it's really going to prevent someone, maybe outside of your state, outside of your city from using your name and really benefiting from your hard work and your goodwill. Because without a trademark, I've trademarked the name of my business, but so I'm comfortable no one in the country is going to be able to open a law firm that has the same name as me. They could do terrible work, and then that's a reflection on my law firm. So it's a way to really keep your name, keep your brand, and make sure no one, tarnishes that in any way.
Okay. Good deal. So I think we've covered the most of it. I mean, what is, I mean, you can tell if you don't do, if you, it might be different depending on what they want you to do, but like to file a trademark, what do you usually charge?
Yep. So usually if we file a trademark for someone with one class of goods, it's $1,000. So it's like $995. So it's right under $1,000. A lot of times if people want to file with a couple different classes, we keep the attorney fees the same, but you'd have an additional $250 for every other additional class. So, but I'd say most people file with a single class of goods, and that's $995.
Okay. See, I remember it was not that much.
Yep. Yep.
That's your filing fees. So if somebody wants to get up with you, ask you what's the best way for them to do it?
Yep. So we have they can go to our website. We have a contact form on the website, Dogwood Patent and Trademark Law. You can also give us a phone call. Our number is 919-576-7612. And, patents and trademarks and copyrights, all of that is federal law. So I'm based in North Carolina, but we've got clients all over the country.
Yeah, that's true. That's just like Social Security law,
Yep.
I came here and opened up a Social Security law in South Carolina, even though I didn't have South Carolina license. That's pretty neat. That gives you a lot of freedom, don't it?
It does. Absolutely.
But now,
Absolutely.
I know you were in Raleigh. Are you in Wilmington, North Carolina, or Raleigh, North Carolina?
So we also have a Wilmington office. I'm from Wilmington, so I opened an office in Wilmington, North Carolina. So I'm there usually one day a week, just an excuse to kind of get to the beach. But yep, most of the time I'm in Raleigh.
Okay. Well, you can I used to live in Raleigh. Traffic's too bad for me, although it's bad in Wilmington too.
It's getting really bad in Wilmington. Yeah, not much better.
Yeah, it's getting terrible. It's a beautiful place though. Well, listen, thank you so much, and
thank you.
I'm sure I'll be talking to you again because I always got something coming up I need help with.
That's right. That's right. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Until next time, this is Ken Hardison, dedicated to your success.